Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian. My YouTube channel is always crazy. You never know what you're going to get. I'm not very good at sticking to a particular project or content. I just bounce around to what interests me. And today we're going to be talking about DAW software, your DAW software. Maybe you're out there, you're a musician, you're a singer, you're a producer, you have great aspirations and you just can't get things working the way you want. Specifically, the topic of listening to the music in your headphones while you're trying to sing at the same time. And it's just not loud enough, or it just doesn't sound right. And you've already kind of mixed your instruments on the mixing board and you don't want to touch too much. You can't crank it up because then it juices out, your master. Anyway, what you're really looking for, this is the verbiage you need to understand, right? You need to generate or create a headphone mix. Yes, that is what you want to do. It's not just volume, you actually want to create a separate headphone mix. And once you do that, when you're singing your vocals, you can turn it up as much as you want. You can cut out entire instruments, like if the electric guitar is throwing you off, we'll just take it out of your headphone mix, but it doesn't affect the master mix you already have going on the board. Okay, so how do we do that? Why hasn't anyone else covered this in good videos? And how do we do it quickly? I know you're anxious to get started. Well, to understand that, we first need to look at DP and we need to understand what your interface is. My DAW software is Digital Performer, DP. You may be using something else. It may call things slightly different names, right? Patches may be called bundles, bundles may be called patches. Channels may be called buses, buses called channels. But I just need you to hang with me here and get the general concept, okay? So, first, you have some sort of interface going, right? For me, that interface is here, right? I'm using an ultralight AVB, and it has 18 inputs, 18 outputs, 36 simultaneous audio channels, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Um, awesome. What you need to understand there is that you have some options. If you have a very tiny interface that only has uh, two channels, left and right, stereo, and that's it, this is not going to help you. Move on to a different video. All right, this is for folks that have kind of a medium interface or something with at least a couple channels in it. Okay, so once you have that, um, you're going to have an interface to, you're going to have a web interface or a software interface to your actual USB interface, and that would look something like this. Okay, so here we can see that my computer buses or channels are currently assigned from DP to go out to the headphones left and right. Okay, and that's normally how it's set up when you get going, right? Your microphone is assigned to computer inputs, and that's why DP can hear your inputs. So a lot of people don't get any further than this, right? It's working. They can hear themselves sing. They can hear the music come back in the headphones, and they think that's, what the DAW does. Sure, that's a great place to start, but you need a headphone mix. So we're going to take you to the next level, okay? And that way you can adjust whatever you want. So how do we do that? Well, first, in Digital Performer, again, I know your DAW software might be different, but if you're using DP, this is a great way to, get it exactly right. Um, what you need to understand is on your mixing board here, you have all of your tracks. And at the top here, that's where you can do plugins. And there's a million videos on how to put in plugins and what they do and whatnot. I'm not going to cover that. All right. This middle section here, this is what they call the sends. Like you're going to send something off, or patching or bundling or what have you. Okay. And what I need you to understand about the sends section is once we start turning this stuff on, right, it doesn't reroute your track. It's making a copy of your track and it's rerouting the copy of the track. Okay, so if I put something up here, this track is still going to go to the master output and is part of your main mix, but it's also going to go wherever I tell it to go. Okay, now down here, this is the actual input and output of the track, right? What is coming in and where is it going out? Not a copy of it, but the actual track, right? Where is it actually going? And most of the time, it's going to be going to your master track because that's where you want it to go. So this section down here is where the track goes. This section up here is where a copy of that track goes, right? So it's not the same thing. And if you have your track going to your master output and you make a copy of it and you also send that to your master output, it's going to do crazy things because now you've doubled it up. So please understand the difference. Up here is making a copy. Down here is redirecting the original. Okay, so we need to get you a headphone mix so you can hear your song so you can sing. You've already got it mixed down here in your mixing board. What are we going to do? Where do we send it? Well, you don't have anything set up in here yet to do that, so I'm going to show you how to do it. The first thing you need to do is we're going to add another auxiliary track. So you go up to project, you say add tracks, we're going to add an aux track to the bottom, and there it is, it pops up. Okay, this is going to be your headphone mix track. So how do we get stuff over there? That's really the question. Well, the first thing we need to do is talk again about, that audio interface, right? Your audio interface, it has lots of channels, and we need to get this aux track talking to one of those other channels. So we go up to setup, and we go to studio, and we're going to say we want to talk about bundles. Okay, again, it might be called patching, it might be called sends. In DP, it's called bundles. So what you're going to want to see is in your inputs, outputs, and buses, right? You already have a 1 and 2. What you need to have in order to bus or bundle or send things over to your headphone mix is to add a new bus. And it's automatically going to increment and say, oh, well, you want bus 3 and 4. It's going to do 2, right? One for the left side, one for the right side. So 1 and 2 is the main that you've always been using. 3 and 4 is something new. And we need to make sure that the inputs and outputs also have an entry for 3 and 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now they do. Okay. So we're good there. We're going to close that. DP is going to think about it for a second and figure it out. Okay. Now, what did I say about up here and down here? Up here is making a copy of stuff. Down here is redirecting the stuff. So, the output of aux2 is going to be our headphone mix. And what we're going to do is send it to 3 and 4. All right. So your master is going to 1 and 2. Your new headphone mix is going to audio 3 and 4. That's the output side. Okay? Hang in there. So we're going to go over to your interface software and you're going to say, hey, I no longer want the headphones, to listen to tracks 1 and 2. That's my main mix. I'm singing. I'm going to be singing into this microphone and I need something different coming out of the headphones. So I'm going to tell the headphones to please listen to 3 and 4. That's going to be your new headphone mix. When I'm all done and I'm going to go back and play with the master mix and everything, I can move the headphones back over to 1 and 2. But while I'm doing vocals, I want my own headphone mix. Okay, so we've got the headphones moved over. Now we got to move everything else over. How are we going to do that? Well, when we created that bundle, we created something called a bus or a patch or whatever you want to do. So what we're saying is on this aux track, we want you to listen to bus 3 and 4, and we're going to send it out to the interface on channels 3 and 4. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost there. We're very close. Now, what do we want to do? Do we want to change all of these outputs to 3 and 4? No, we don't, because that's the original, which is already mixed and already going to your master, and we want to leave that where it is, right? That's the original destination. That's fine. What we want to do is make a copy of it and send it over to the headphone mix, and we do that up here. So now you can come down here and say, oh look, I have bus 3 and 4. The bus is inside the DP software. I want to send this to bus 3 and 4. And this. And this. And this. I'm going to send all of this over to 3 and 4. And now my headphones will hear everything that is in the master track, but I have control over it now. Yes. So now when I put on the headphones, I can come over here and, whatever this guy is, I know I don't have my stuff labeled. You can shame me for that later, right? It's too loud, so I'm going to turn it way down, right? -50, maybe -50 on this guy too. Maybe the drums I want to turn up because I'm using them as a click track, so I crank those up a little higher, something like that. Or you can just grab the whole mix and crank it up to +6. You can go back to your interface, and on the device settings, you can now crank up the microphone, or I'm sorry, the headphones much, much louder and not affect anything that has to do with your original mix because you're on a separate channel using separate bundles. So that is how you create a headphone mix. And now if maybe it's not just you, maybe you actually have a vocalist that came in and they said, hey, can you please turn down the piano and turn up the electric guitar and get rid of the drums and make me my own click track. You can do all of it and you can patch it and send it to your headphone mix auxiliary track. And then when you're done, you don't have to delete anything. You can leave all those buses there. All you need to do to get back to mixing through your headphones is to come back to your interface and say, all right, I don't want the phones listening to my headphone mix bus track anymore. I want them listening to the main track. And now you're back to where you were. Time to record vocals again? No problem. We're going to bump you over to the headphone mix track and you're ready to go. So that's how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try here and practice my song. If you want to hear me sing, stick around and listen. If not, that's okay too. You can hear my music on Spotify and other great streaming sites under the band name Love Salt. Lovesalt. Love Salt. They're all strange, just like me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get to some singing and see what happens, all right?